In ancient Japan, Bushido, the way of the warrior, was born. It demanded virtue, duty, and honor. Samurai lived and died by these principles, shaping Japanese history. Death is lighter than a feather, but duty is heavier than a mountain. Sacrifice was an honorable expression of purpose and loyalty. Bushido was a moral compass, guiding actions and shaping lives. It transformed soldiers into symbols of discipline and honor. We'll explore its origins, virtues, and legendary figures. Join us to discover the timeless wisdom of the samurai. The katana is inseparable from Bushido. To the samurai, it was an extension of their being, a manifestation of honor and spirit. The creation was a sacred act. A master swordsmith transformed humble materials. The smith channeled his spirit into the blade. Folding the steel created micro-layers, giving the katana its properties: a razor-sharp edge and flexible spine, strength and resilience. This process mirrored the samurai's development through training and discipline. The finished sword reflected the warrior's soul. A samurai's connection to his sword was personal. Losing it was a disgrace. The daisho symbolized rank and responsibility. The sword was the keeper of their legacy. At the very core of Bushido lies a profound philosophy about life and death. The samurai were trained to face their own mortality with a calm and accepting mind. By accepting death, the warrior was freed from the paralysis of fear, allowing them to act decisively. This is captured in the phrase "death before dishonor," as honor was the ultimate currency for a samurai. The fear of dishonor was a far more powerful motivator than the fear of death itself. This led to seppuku, a ritualized suicide, seen as a final honorable way to atone for failure. It was the ultimate demonstration that a samurai's spirit remained unbroken. This duality, the fierce warrior who could also be a sensitive artist, is one of the most fascinating aspects of Bushido. Though the age of the samurai ended over a century ago with the Meiji Restoration, the echoes of their code, Bushido, continue to resonate powerfully in the modern world. The principles that guided these ancient warriors have proven to be timeless, offering wisdom that transcends culture and a specific historical period. The core virtues of rectitude, courage, benevolence, and honor are not confined to the feudal battlefields of Japan. They have found new life in unexpected places, from the high-stakes environment of the corporate boardroom to the disciplined training halls of martial arts dojos around the globe. In today's world of business and leadership, the Bushido concept of rectitude, or unwavering moral integrity, offers a powerful antidote to corruption and unethical practices. Leaders are inspired by the samurai's commitment to justice and honesty. A modern executive, guided by these principles, would prioritize fair dealings, transparency, and the well-being of their employees over short-term profits. Similarly, the virtue of courage is no longer just about facing a physical enemy. It is about having the strength to make difficult decisions, to innovate in the face of uncertainty, and to stand by one's principles even when it is unpopular. The influence of Bushido is also profoundly felt in the world of sports and competition. Athletes, especially those in combat sports and martial arts, often speak of the warrior's spirit. They strive for the same mental fortitude, respect for their opponents, and dedication to their craft that defined the samurai. Even in the burgeoning world of esports, teams adopt principles of loyalty and disciplined practice to achieve victory. The idea of honoring the game, respecting your teammates, and facing defeat with grace rather than anger are all modern reflections of the ancient code's emphasis on respect and honor. This documentary will explore these fascinating connections. We will journey from the past to the present, showing how a code forged in fire and steel continues to shape our understanding of leadership, ethics, and personal excellence. The samurai may have vanished, but their spirit lives on. The way of the warrior provides a compelling framework for navigating the complexities of our own lives with a renewed sense of purpose, discipline, and honor. It is a legacy not of warfare but of character, a timeless guide for anyone seeking to live a more meaningful and principled life in any era. The story of Bushido began long before the samurai. Its seeds were planted in Japan's earliest philosophies and social structures. Before the warrior class dominated, Japan was shaped by different ideas. Shintoism instilled reverence for nature and ancestors. Buddhism brought acceptance of fate, Zen emphasized meditation and self-discipline. Confucianism provided the ethical framework, stressing loyalty and social order. These became the blueprint for a samurai's obligations. These three streams created the philosophical river that would become Bushido. It grew organically from the cultural soil of early Japan. It was an unwritten understanding that prepared the ground for the rise of the samurai. The Heian period, remembered as a golden age, saw the imperial court in Kyoto flourish. Yet beyond the capital, the central government's power waned. Wealthy families hired provincial warriors, the first true samurai, to protect their interests. Their lives were defined by martial skill and loyalty. It was in this crucible that the foundational elements of Bushido were born. As the imperial court weakened, warrior clans grew stronger. The Taira and Minamoto clans rose to prominence, their rivalry erupting into the Genpei War. This marked the end of the Heian period and the rise of the samurai class. They were now a distinct social class with their own culture and sense of honor. The Heian period was the turbulent era that gave birth to the samurai. The age of the warrior had begun. Following the Genpei War, the Minamoto clan established a military government in Kamakura. This marked the Kamakura period, when samurai values became law. The first shogun established a feudal system emphasizing loyalty. The Mongol invasions shocked Japan's warrior society, leading to new battlefield tactics. The katana became the symbol of the samurai's strength. The Muromachi period was a time of internal warfare. For over a century, Japan was fractured, with powerful daimyo vying for control. Zen Buddhism influenced the samurai, leading to arts valuing simplicity. This duality became a central tenet of Bushido. The warrior code was hardened, creating the ideal samurai. The Warring States period ended with Tokugawa Ieyasu unifying Japan in 1603, ushering in the Edo period. This created an identity crisis for the samurai, as their primary function, to wage war, was now obsolete. The warrior class had to find a new purpose, transforming into a ruling class of administrators. This is when Bushido as a formal philosophy was truly articulated. With swords now symbolic, samurai turned inward to perfect their character. Thinkers began to write down unwritten principles, seeking to justify their status through moral superiority. The warrior's way became the way of the gentleman, emphasizing education and ethics. Yamaga Soko argued that a samurai's calling in peace was to be a moral exemplar. The Tokugawa peace transformed Bushido into a complex system of ethics. The idealized warrior scholar became the dominant image of the samurai. As Japan rapidly modernized during the Meiji Restoration in the late 19th century, the samurai class was officially abolished. Feudalism was dismantled, and the right to wear the two swords, the daisho, was revoked. The ancient warrior class seemed destined to become a relic of the past. Yet just as the samurai themselves vanished, their code was about to receive its most famous and influential interpretation. A Japanese diplomat and scholar named Inazō Nitobe, educated in the United States, found himself struggling to explain the moral foundations of his culture to Westerners. To bridge this gap, he wrote a book in English, published in 1899, titled Bushido, the Soul of Japan. Nitobe's book was not a direct historical account, but rather a romanticized and idealized interpretation of the samurai code. He presented Bushido as a noble system of ethics, comparable to the chivalry of European knights. He structured his interpretation around what he identified as 7 core virtues: rectitude, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, and loyalty. This structured, virtue-based framework was incredibly appealing to Western audiences, including influential figures like President Theodore Roosevelt. It offered a compelling, honorable, and easily understandable window into the Japanese spirit. It is crucial to understand that Nitobe's Bushido was a modern construction, an attempt to create a national identity for a Japan that was rapidly integrating into the global community. He selectively drew upon centuries of samurai philosophy, filtering it through his own Christian and Western education, and omitting some of its harsher or more feudal aspects. He emphasized the universal moral principles while downplaying elements like seppuku, or the absolute, sometimes blind, loyalty to a feudal lord. His goal was to show that Japan, despite its distinct history, was built upon a moral foundation that the West could understand and respect. Nitobe's work was a phenomenal success and has had a lasting impact on how the world perceives the samurai. For many people, both inside and outside of Japan, his list of 7 virtues is Bushido. While historians may debate its accuracy as a perfect reflection of the historical samurai ethos, its influence is undeniable. It transformed the warrior code from a specific, class-based set of rules into a universal philosophy of character and ethical conduct. It ensured that even after the last samurai had laid down his sword, the way of the warrior would continue to inspire and capture the imagination of the entire world. The first pillar of Bushido is Gi, which translates to rectitude or justice. It is about possessing a powerful, unwavering moral compass. Gi was the ability to discern the right course of action and to do it without hesitation. It provides the strength to stand firm in one's convictions. True strength came from the moral certainty that one's actions were just and correct. To die for what was right was the ultimate expression of a life lived with purpose. In the modern world, Gi finds its echo in ethical leadership and corporate responsibility. They build their enterprise on a foundation of fairness and transparency. Gi challenges us to look at our own decisions. It asks us to act on what is fundamentally right. It is the solid ground upon which all other virtues are built. The second virtue of Bushido is Yu, or courage. True courage was intelligent and deliberate, the ability to face fear when duty and justice demanded it. This virtue was nurtured through rigorous training, turning bravery into a habit. It also meant having the moral courage to speak truth to power, even if it was a risky act. Today, this form of courage is more relevant than ever. In the corporate world, it is the whistleblower who risks their career to expose corruption. This is the modern expression of Yu, the bravery to act on one's convictions in the face of adversity. Ultimately, courage, as defined by Bushido, is about mastering fear, not being devoid of it. With it, it becomes a living, breathing reality that can shape destinies and define a legacy of bravery and honor. The samurai's code demanded more than strength. It required benevolence and compassion. True warriors wielded power with mercy, showing kindness even to defeated foes. Jin was the mark of a superior character, transforming the samurai from mere soldier to guardian of humanity. In modern times, compassionate leadership mentoring, empathy and support echoes this virtue. True power, then and now, is incomplete without compassion. Jin reminds us the greatest strength is to protect and nurture, not to destroy. Rei, or respect, was the samurai's discipline, expressed in every bow, word, and gesture. Politeness was not weakness, but a sign of inner strength and self-control. Respect extended to all, regardless of rank, smoothing social interactions and building trust. In today's world, Rei is the athlete's sportsmanship, the professional's courtesy, the act of truly listening. It's the foundation of civil society and lasting relationships. How we treat others reflects our own honor. Makoto, sincerity and honesty, was absolute for the samurai. A warrior's word was his bond. Deceit was unthinkable. This created a culture of directness and trust, where actions and words aligned. In our era of misinformation, Makoto calls us back to truth, in journalism, science, and relationships. Sincerity is the soul of all virtues. Without it, courage is reckless, respect is hollow, loyalty is self-interest. Makoto demands we live authentically, aligning words and deeds. It is the unshakable foundation of honor. Meiyo, honor, was the samurai's most prized possession, more precious than life. It guided every action, shaped by family, reputation, and a deep sense of self-worth. Shame was a powerful deterrent, ensuring adherence to the code. Today, Meiyo lives on in personal integrity and pride in one's work. Honor is the culmination of all virtues, the light that guides a life of dignity. To live with honor is to leave a legacy that outlasts life itself. Chugi, that's loyalty, was like the most important thing, tying samurai to their leader with total dedication. This loyalty meant giving things up, putting their job first, even before themselves or their family. Nowadays, loyalty means being dedicated to something you believe in, a team, or people you care about. It turns big goals into things everyone can achieve together and make life feel important. Chugi is what holds people together, the promise that lasts. A life spent serving others faithfully is a life with a deep meaning. The samurai's daisho, katana and wakizashi, was more than weaponry. It was identity and honor. The katana symbolized power and action, the wakizashi, inner discipline and the acceptance of death before dishonor. Swords were cherished, named, and passed down as family heirlooms. Caring for them was a ritual of respect and connection to ancestors. Losing one's swords meant losing one's very self. The daisho embodied the balance between decisive action and moral restraint. Together, they were the perfect symbol of the samurai's path, living on the edge between duty and honor. The katana is celebrated as a masterpiece of form and function. Its creation was a sacred art, blending metallurgy with deep spiritual ritual. A master swordsmith or kaji was a highly respected artist. The process started with tamahagani, a special high-quality steel. The swordsmith would heat, hammer, and fold the steel dozens of times to expel impurities. The smith would then forge this layered steel around a softer iron core. This created a blade with a razor-sharp edge and an interior that could absorb shock. The blade was then heated and plunged into water. This created the visible wave-like hamon, a unique signature of the smith's artistry. After forging, the blade was handed to a master polisher. The finished katana was not just a weapon but a work of art. While the sword was the soul of the samurai, his armor or yoroi was his fortress. It was a complex assembly designed for protection, mobility, intimidation, and display of status. Early armor was boxy for mounted archery, evolving to the form-fitting tozi-gusoku. This composite of lacquered scales or kozain laced together made the armor flexible. The helmet or kabuto featured crests or maided to identify the warrior. Masks, or menpo, presented a terrifying visage. Armor symbolized identity and clan, displaying wealth and power. The yoroi combined artistry with utility, a psychological weapon, and effective shield. The samurai's martial prowess extended to a wide and versatile arsenal. The quintessential weapon of the samurai was the bow, or yumi. For battlefield combat, spears were indispensable. Another formidable polearm was the naginata. The tessen, or iron war fan, was a deceptive weapon. For siege warfare, the samurai used heavy iron war clubs known as kanabo. This mastery speaks to the complete system of martial arts known as bujutsu. The extended arsenal of the samurai shows their total dedication to the art of war. The principles of Bushido were the code of real men and women whose lives became legend. To understand the warrior's way, we look to those who embodied it. We will examine 3 legendary figures, each representing a facet of the samurai spirit. First, Tomo Gozen, a female warrior whose ferocity became legendary. Next, Miyamoto Musashi, the most famous swordsman, a philosopher who sought enlightenment through the sword. Finally, Saigo Takamori, often called the last true samurai. Saigo's story captures the conflict between tradition and modernity. In the tumultuous late 12th century, during the brutal Genpei War between the Minamoto and Taira clans, the chronicles of war speak of a figure of exceptional valor. This warrior was Tomo Gozen, a name that echoes through history as one of Japan's most formidable female warriors, or onabugeisha. While women of the samurai class were typically expected to manage the household and were trained in weaponry primarily for home defense, Tomo was different. She rode into battle alongside the men, serving her lord, Minamoto no Yoshinaka, not just as a retainer, but as one of his most trusted and capable commanders on the front lines of the conflict. The Heike Monogatari, the epic account of the Genpei War, describes her with awe and reverence. It paints a picture of a warrior who was not only exceptionally beautiful, but also a master of the martial arts. She was a fearless horsewoman, capable of riding down the steepest slopes, and a deadly archer whose aim was true amidst the chaos of a cavalry charge. When it came to close quarters combat, she wielded a heavy broadsword with a strength that rivaled any man's. The chronicles state she was a warrior worth 1,000, a force of nature on the battlefield, ready to face any foe, be it man or demon, without a hint of fear. Her existence challenges our modern, often male-centric view of the samurai. While she was an exception, she was not a complete anomaly. History records other onabugeisha who took up arms, proving that the core virtues of Bushido, courage, loyalty, and martial prowess, were not exclusive to men. Tomo Gozen's story demonstrates that the spirit of a warrior, the Bushi, was a matter of character and skill, not gender. She earned her place not through birthright alone, but through her undeniable competence, and her fierce, unwavering dedication to her lord's cause, embodying the purest form of loyalty. This makes her a powerful symbol of defiance against the rigid expectations of her time. She was not content to remain within the prescribed boundaries for a woman of her station. Instead, she carved her own path with the edge of her blade, proving her worth through action. Tomoe Gozen's legend is a vital reminder that the history of the samurai is more complex and diverse than often portrayed. She represents the untamed, practical spirit of the early warrior code, where battlefield effectiveness and absolute loyalty were the ultimate measures of a person's value, creating a legacy that continues to inspire. Tomoe Gozen's prowess is best known from the Battle of Awazu in 1184, the final stand of her lord Yoshinaka. Facing defeat, Yoshinaka ordered Tomoe to flee, wanting her to live. Before retreating, she sought one last opponent and charged into 30 enemy riders, killing their leader. She then rode away, disappearing from history. Her fate remains a mystery, adding to her legend. Tomoe's story embodies courage and honor. Her life is an enduring symbol of the samurai spirit. Born at the tail end of the Warring States period, Miyamoto Musashi grew into a man suited for conflict. He became a ronin and embarked on a warrior's pilgrimage to hone his skills. Musashi developed his own unique style, the Nitin Ichi-ryu, which involved fighting with two swords simultaneously. His life was a series of legendary duels. He fought over 60 without defeat. His most famous confrontation was against Sasaki Kojiro. Musashi arrived late, carving a wooden sword from an oar. He used the unconventional sword to strike and kill his opponent in a single blow. This cemented his reputation as the greatest swordsman in Japan. Victory was all that mattered, and any tool or strategy was valid. He understood a duel was won with the mind. He focused on timing, perception, and an intuitive understanding of combat, principles he would later codify. His path was perfecting his own craft. His journey made him a legend and prepared him for a deeper exploration of the way of the warrior. As Miyamoto Musashi grew older, his focus shifted from winning duels to understanding the principles of his craft. He realized the way of the sword applied to calligraphy, painting, and strategy. In his last years, he retreated to a cave to write down his philosophy. The result was the Book of Five Rings, an influential text on martial strategy. Musashi breaks down his teachings into 5 scrolls: earth, water, fire, wind, and void. Beyond writing, Musashi became a renowned artist known for his inkwash paintings. His artwork reflects the same philosophy as his swordsmanship, direct and powerful. Musashi's life shows the evolution of Bushido, becoming a quest for self-perfection. His legacy is that of a philosopher who taught that the mastery of one path can lead to understanding all paths. Saigo Takamori stands as one of the most influential and tragic figures in Japanese history, a man who embodied the virtues of Bushido at a time when the age of the samurai was coming to a violent end. He was a towering figure, both physically and politically, from the powerful Satsuma domain. A brilliant military leader and a deeply sincere man, he was one of the 3 great nobles who led the imperial forces in the Boshin War. This conflict successfully overthrew the Tokugawa shogunate and initiated the Meiji Restoration, a period of rapid modernization designed to bring Japan onto the world stage and avoid colonization by Western powers. Ironically, Saigo, a devoted traditionalist, became a key architect of the very changes that would make the samurai obsolete. The new Meiji government, which he helped to create, began to strip the samurai of their ancient privileges. Their stipends were cut, the wearing of the daisho was forbidden, and a modern conscript army, open to all social classes, was established. For Saigo, these reforms were a betrayal of the very spirit of Japan. He believed that the moral fiber and martial discipline of the samurai class were essential to the nation's soul. He just could not stand by and watch the warrior way be erased. His deep sense of sincerity, and his loyalty to his fellow samurai led him to a fateful decision. He resigned from his high-ranking government position and returned to his home province of Satsuma. There, disgruntled and impoverished former samurai flocked to his side. In 1877, he reluctantly became the leader of the Satsuma Rebellion, a final, desperate uprising against the new imperial government. It was a tragic conflict pitting Saigo's traditionally trained samurai, armed with swords and old rifles, against the modern, well-equipped Imperial Japanese army that he himself had helped to build and organize. the rebellion was doomed from the start. After months of brutal fighting, Saigo's forces were cornered at the Battle of Shiroyama. In a final heroic charge, the last few dozen samurai, with Saigo at their head, drew their swords and rushed the imperial lines. Saigo was gravely wounded by a bullet. True to the code of Bushido, he committed seppuku with the help of a retainer to avoid the disgrace of capture. His death marked the definitive end of the samurai as a political and military force. Saigo Takamori became a national hero, a tragic symbol of unwavering loyalty to a vanishing world, the last true samurai. For over 2 centuries, Japan existed in isolation under the Tokugawa shogunate. This stability was shattered by American Commodore Matthew Perry and his black ships, revealing how far Japan had fallen behind. This led to the collapse of the shogunate and the restoration of imperial rule under Emperor Meiji. The new government understood that Japan had to modernize rapidly. This meant dismantling the old feudal structures. The samurai class was now seen as an obstacle to progress. The government stripped the warriors of their ancient rights. The edict forbade wearing the daisho in public. This ended their status as a privileged class after nearly 1,000 years. A modern army rendered the samurai's function obsolete. The sun was setting on the age of the warrior. The Meiji reforms created discontent among samurai, especially in Satsuma, home to traditionalist clans. Saigo Takamori, a reluctant hero, became their figurehead. In 1877, tensions erupted into the Satsuma Rebellion, the samurai's final act. Saigo led warriors against the imperial army, a clash between old and new Japan. Despite their bravery, the samurai were outmatched by modern weaponry. The rebellion culminated in the Battle of Shiroyama, where Saigo made his last stand. Gravely wounded, Saigo committed. His death marked the end of the samurai era. In the decades following the Satsuma Rebellion, a transformation occurred. The Meiji government resurrected Bushido as a tool for nation building. As Japan sought to establish itself as a modern imperial power, it needed a unique national ethic. The government began to promote a sanitized version of the samurai spirit. This new Bushido emphasized absolute loyalty to the emperor and the nation. This mythologized version of Bushido became a crucial component of military and educational indoctrination. This ideology reached its zenith during World War II, justifying extreme acts of sacrifice. After Japan's defeat, this nationalistic Bushido was largely discredited. In the post-war era, Bushido was resurrected by popular culture. The image of the samurai would be cleansed and reborn in film, literature, and art. In the post-war world, the samurai found revival through cinema, particularly in Akira Kurosawa's films like Seven Samurai and Yojimbo. Kurosawa's samurai were complex, individualistic characters grappling with honor in a violent world. These films were international hits, exporting a romanticized image of the samurai. This paved the way for the samurai to become a fixture in global popular culture. In manga and anime, series explored the samurai's struggle for redemption. The ultimate evolution can be seen in cyberpunk, where the cyber samurai was born. They represent the ghost of the samurai in the machine. The samurai has emerged as one of the most enduring cultural symbols, its spirit thriving, a powerful legend that refuses to die. We have journeyed through history, from the forging of the katana to Shiroyama. Bushido, the way of the warrior, is a philosophy both beautiful and brutal, elegant and severe. The samurai are gone, their swords behind glass. Yet, their code resonates. Rectitude, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, and loyalty are timeless. The questions they faced, purpose, integrity, courage, endure. This relevance is Bushido's legacy. It offers a moral compass for navigating life with dignity. The path of the warrior transforms into leadership and ethical conduct. It inspires stronger character in the modern world. The spirit of the warrior remains a guide. The echo of the way calls us to be better. The first and most profound leadership lesson from Bushido is rooted in its core philosophy of life and death. The samurai proverb, "Duty is heavier than a mountain, while death is lighter than a feather," provides a powerful framework for modern leadership. This teaches us to reorient our perspective, shifting the focus away from our own personal anxieties, ambitions, and fears, and placing it squarely on our responsibilities to others. A true leader understands that their role is one of service, to their team, their organization, their community, or their cause. This sense of duty becomes the anchor that holds them steady in any storm. By internalizing that duty as the primary focus, the leader is liberated from the paralysis of self-interest. The fear of personal failure, of looking foolish, or of not getting enough credit becomes secondary, as light as a feather. This mindset fosters incredible courage and decisiveness. A leader who is not weighed down by their own ego can make the difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions that are necessary for the greater good. They can take calculated risks, innovate boldly, and act with a clarity of purpose that inspires confidence and trust in those they lead, creating a culture of shared responsibility and commitment. This principle also cultivates a remarkable resilience in the face of setbacks. For the samurai, accepting the possibility of death freed them to act without fear. For the modern leader, accepting the possibility of failure, a failed project, a missed target, a poor decision, frees them to learn and adapt rather than crumble under pressure. When the self is made light, a mistake is not a devastating personal blow, but a data point from which to grow. This resilience is contagious, creating a team environment where people feel safe to experiment, to be honest about challenges, and to work together to overcome obstacles without fear of blame. Ultimately, this lesson calls for a form of egoless leadership. It is about understanding that true influence comes not from the title on your door, but from the weight of the responsibility you are willing to bear for others. It is a shift from what's in it for me to what does this situation require of me. By embracing the mountain of duty and treating the self with a certain lightness, a leader unlocks a deeper well of courage, resilience, and purpose. This is the foundational mindset of the warrior leader, a timeless principle for anyone who aspires to guide others with honor and effectiveness. The second lesson from Bushido is a powerful duality, the fusion of unwavering rectitude with profound benevolence. The virtue of gi, or justice, demands that a leader's actions be rooted in a strong moral compass. It is not enough to be effective. A leader must be ethical. This means establishing a clear set of values and principles and adhering to them without compromise, even when it is difficult or costly. This is the bedrock of trust. A team will only follow a leader they believe to be fair, honest, and just. Integrity is the non-negotiable foundation upon which all successful leadership is built, the very bone that gives it structure. However, Bushido teaches that power and justice without a human touch are incomplete and can become tyrannical. This is where the virtue of jin, or benevolence, becomes essential. A leader must temper their authority with compassion, empathy, and a genuine concern for the well-being of their people. They must remember that they are leading human beings, not just managing resources. A compassionate leader listens, mentors, and supports their team, fostering an environment of psychological safety where people feel valued and respected. This benevolence is not a weakness. It is the ultimate sign of a leader's strength and confidence. The modern leader must learn to walk this fine line, to be both demanding in their standards and humane in their application. They must be able to make the tough calls and hold people accountable, which is an expression of jai. But they must also be able to deliver difficult news with kindness, offer support during personal struggles, and celebrate the successes of their team with genuine joy, which is an expression of jin. This combination creates a culture that is both high-performing and deeply humane, a place where people are motivated to do their best work, not out of fear, but out of a shared commitment to an honorable mission. This lesson challenges the outdated notion of a command and control leader. The Bushido model suggests that the most effective leader is a guardian, not a dictator. They are the protector of the organization's integrity and the caretaker of its people. By combining decisive action with moral clarity and tempering power with genuine compassion, a leader can build something truly lasting in an organization that is not only successful in its outcomes, but also honorable in its character. It is a legacy defined not just by what was achieved, but by how it was achieved, with both justice and kindness. The third crucial leadership lesson from the Samurai Code revolves around the interconnected virtues of rei, respect, and makoto, sincerity. In today's fast-paced and often informal world, the principle of rei reminds us of the immense power of respect as a form of discipline and strength. For the samurai, formal etiquette was an outward expression of inner self-control. For a modern leader, Practicing respect means creating a culture of civility and dignity. It is about listening attentively, valuing diverse perspectives, and treating every single person, regardless of their rank or role, with courtesy. This is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of a confident leader who is in control of their own ego. This disciplined practice of respect creates a powerful ripple effect throughout an organization. When a leader models respectful behavior, it sets the standard for everyone else. It reduces interpersonal friction, encourages open communication, and builds the kind of collaborative environment where great ideas can flourish. A culture of respect is a culture where people feel safe to disagree, to challenge the status quo, and to contribute their full potential without fear of belittlement or dismissal. It is the essential lubricant that allows a team of talented individuals to function as a cohesive and effective whole, turning potential conflict into constructive dialogue. However, respect without the backing of Makoto or sincerity is nothing more than empty politeness. Sincerity is the soul of the code, the virtue that demands absolute truthfulness in word and deed. For a leader, this means being transparent, communicating honestly, and ensuring that your actions consistently align with your words. A sincere leader does not engage in corporate doublespeak or make promises they cannot keep. Their word is their bond. This unwavering commitment to truth is the fastest way to build trust and the quickest way to lose it if broken. Sincerity ensures that respect is genuine and not just a performance. Together, these two virtues form the communication backbone of effective leadership. Respect dictates the how of communication, with courtesy, with attentiveness, with dignity. Sincerity dictates the what, with honesty, with clarity, with integrity. A leader who masters this combination can build unbreakable bonds of loyalty and trust with their team. They create an environment where feedback is given and received constructively, where expectations are clear, and where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. This is the path to creating not just a successful team, but a truly honorable one, built on the foundations of genuine respect and unshakable truth. The samurai's story is one of paradox. They valued beauty and mastered warfare, bound by a rigid code yet filled with individualism. Bushido is a blueprint for building character. The warrior's way is a journey of self-mastery. Leading with duty, integrity, compassion, and respect are facets of this theme. Character was their most important possession. Bushido calls us to focus on becoming, not just achieving, building a life we can be proud of. It offers a powerful anchor, reminding us that true strength is in discipline, power in service, and success in honor. It's an invitation to live with purpose and face battles with the spirit of the samurai. The way of the warrior is the way of a noble human being. It is a path of character worth walking. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content.